Good morning. It's so wonderful to see you here this morning and gather together for this rousing opening. My name is Magdalene Lindeberg, and I'm pleased to be your celebration associate this morning. May we gather today to nurture our connections, seek inspiration, and embrace change. Paying attention is our theme for March. What are we paying attention to? What do we want to pay attention to? May we gather today to help discern that difference. We have many activities this week. Please read the announcements in your order of service and check the sanctuary screens to learn more. One particular reminder, Seven Song will be talking today in the annex at noon about herbalism and the Ithaca Free Clinic. And I have a special announcement from Seema Mather.
Good morning. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Seema, and I'm here representing the stewardship team. Today I have a three-part story to share. The good news, we have 104 pledges counted. Maybe there are a few on Michelle's desk. 15 new pledgers. Again, I'm really excited about all of them, but the new pledgers, I'm excited for them and for us to increase our base and for them to feel connected. And we're celebrating all of the contributions of all kinds this year, as well as the contributions of so many people for so long that have kept our community vibrant. Now the challenge, we have more dancing to do. The drums continue to move us, keeping joyous time before budget planning. And a few of our largest financial pledgers will likely have to reduce their giving this year, and their timing won't align with our budget cycle. We're currently at about 55% of our pledge drive goal, and our opportunity is pledge if you haven't had the confidence, so we can have confidence in our budget process. If you haven't pledged, try it on. On the back of the pledge cards, we'll show you how modest pledging amounts add up. Not everyone is here today or watching online. We're all busy and focused on many things. Take time, as the pledging dollars will reflect how we plan for next year. And remind each other gently, with a hat on if it helps, that it's time. And when you do give, dance a bit, in real life or in your heart, because you are celebrating and investing our work in joy for this community. Woo!
Couple other announcements. I don't know if I can follow that up, but I do want to take this time to introduce this morning's speaker. Sarah Catterall is a writer, a member of First Unitarian since 2003, and serves on the Buildings and Grounds as the team leader. I would also like to thank Susan Murphy, local musician and composer, who is accompanying our hymns today. If you are new or visiting for the first time, I invite you to stop by the welcome table in the parlor after the service, located through these doors. This is where we have coffee, snacks, and conversation after the service. And in the spirit of intentionally gathering in community, let's all take a moment to turn off our cell phones or switch them to silent mode. Thank you. And before we light our chalice, take a moment to greet those around you. Our chalice today will be lit by Emily Dallas. Please join me in saying the chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. Thank you. Opening words are by Tanya Marquez. It is now when we are called as witnesses of the world to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now when we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us gather and let us give each other courage. Please join me in body or spirit, rise in body or spirit for the opening hymn, number 15, The Lone Wild Bird. And young people who want to collect items can come down and get a basket.
Alone, wild bird in lofty flight is still within, nor leaves thy sight. And I am thine, I rest in thee, great Spirit, come and trust in me. The ends of the earth are in thy hand, the seas dark deep and far off land, and I am thine, I rest in thee, great Spirit, come and rest in me.
Good morning, everyone. It's always a delight to be on stage with you in the morning. I would like to invite anyone who is young or feeling young at heart to join me on the stage right now for a time for wonder. In like a year? Okay, open it up. Yes! It's a jar with glitter in it. What are these used for? Just to look at? Regulation, emotional regulation. You do? Does yours have oil in it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so.
the glitter's pink.
Ooh, I like that. These are blue glitter because I made them in the winter time, like 3 years ago. But I did not put oil in them. Mine, when you put oil in them, they move really nice and slow, and it's very satisfying to watch. And they're a really great tool for emotional regulation. Yeah. Glittery, beautiful. The kids were like, this is so satisfying. So I brought a book for you guys today that is all about emotional regulation. Do you recognize this book? Yeah, what did you think about it? Thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs in the middle? Thumbs in the middle. Great, we're off to a good start. That's not what I expected, but it's okay. Look, I wore leggings so I could hang out with you guys on the floor today. Like, that was not as many yays as I wanted either. It's okay. We're off to a great start. Don't worry, you guys. Thank you. I didn't put pictures on the slides, and I'm sorry in advance. I just run out of time, honestly. But this story is beautiful, and I hope you really enjoy it, even just listening to it, audiobook style, live audiobooks. Look at that. What's better? Nothing. Nothing's better. Okay, this is The Moody Cow Meditates by Carrie Lee McLean. My name is Moody Cow. It used to be Peter, but now it's Moody Cow. It all started one stupid, rotten day when everything went wrong. First, I had a bad dream. My kid, can you see it back there? A very bad dream, which involved a giant, three-eyed alien. What a rotten way to wake up. I wanted to find my mom and tell her about the giant three-eyed alien, but I couldn't find her anywhere. Mom. So I admit I was in a bad mood to begin with. Then I couldn't find my skateboard. Turned out my sister had borrowed it. Daisy, stop drawing on my skateboard. Okay, maybe I overreacted when I pulled her tail, but it was a brand new skateboard. So then Daisy had to get me back by tripping me down the stairs. What a monster. Who would do such a thing? That made me mad. So mad that I cut off her doll's hair. On purpose. Of course I got in trouble for that, which made me miss the bus. I had to ride my bike all the way to school in the snow. Does anyone do that? No. They don't let you do that anymore. That made me really mad. On the way home from school, I hit a snowbank and scraped my knee. There was blood everywhere. The rest of the day, I couldn't stop thinking about how my rotten day was really all Daisy's fault. She put me in a bad mood by drawing on my new skateboard. Or maybe it was the giant three-eyed alien's fault for giving me bad dreams. Whatever. I was so mad I couldn't see straight. And when I turned into our driveway, I crashed into my dad's truck. Well, you can understand that with a bloody knee and a banged up nose, I was madder than ever. Super mad. You can see that from there. I can't take it anymore. And then I did something crazy. I picked up my baseball and I threw it right through the window on purpose. Unfortunately, my mom saw the whole thing. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" she yelled. "Have you lost your mind?" My mom said it a little differently than that. She came outside, took one look at my super mad, rotten day face, and I guess she felt sorry for me. "Aw, are you a little moody cow?" Moody cow, moody cow. Of course, my sister Daisy heard that. She started shouting, moody cow, Peter is a moody cow." The next thing I knew, all the kids in the neighborhood joined in. Moody cow, Peter is a moody cow." How do you think that made Peter feel? Not great. Sing a lot of, not good. "We need grandfather," Mom said, and picked up the phone. Pretty soon, my grandfather was sitting in the sunroom on a meditation cushion. I got to sit on one too. "I hear they're calling you Moody Cow," Grandfather said. He smiled. I couldn't help smiling back a little. I guess Moody Cow was kind of a funny name. "See this?" Wait, who has the glitter jar? There we go. See this? He pointed at a jar of water. This is your mind, he said. And these, he held out a little dish of sparkles, are your angry thoughts. That, I said, is a jar of water. And those are Daisy's fairy dust sparkles. Come on, Mr. Moody Cow, work with me here. Now what we're going to do is put in a pinch of sparkles for every angry thought that you have. Then you get to sit here until they all settle down to the bottom. By the time the water is clear again, the anger will have all settled down too. It won't work, I told him. Let's just see, he said. I took a pinch of sparkles and I dropped it into the water. Which angry thought was that? Grandfather asked. That's the three-eyed alien. It tried to gobble me up last night. Oh, I see. Rotten way to start the day. Okay, what else? I put in another pinch for the next angry thought. This is me having to clean up the toilet for a whole month for breaking the window. I hate cleaning the toilet. Me too. What else? I put in one more pinch of sparkles and said, this is Daisy drawing on my brand new skateboard with marker. Oh dear, she did that? Grandfather sighed. Okay, what else? This pinch is when I missed the bus and had to ride my bike to school in the snow. You can ride a bike through the snow? Grandfather asked. I have good tires. Anything else? On my way home, I scraped my knee and I was so mad. I crashed into Dad's truck. I think I broke my nose. Ouch, Grandfather said. That must have hurt. It did. Then I picked up my baseball and I threw it through the window on purpose. Wow, you should put in a double pinch for that one. I guess you really did have a Moody Cow day. I sure did. Is that all? Grandfather asked. Yeah, but it's a lot. It sure is. Grandfather put the lid on the jar and shook it up real good. This jar is like your mind right now, he said. Angry thoughts bouncing all around, all over the place. Now, let's see what happens when you let your angry thoughts settle down. Grandfather said, putting the mind jar down in front of me. Just sit quietly and see what happens. I sat up real straight, and then I got the ring to ring the gong. Bong! I sat watching all my angry thoughts swirl around, all crazy like in the jar. A few thoughts slowed down and sank to the bottom. Then a few more, and a few more. I was so still, I could feel my heart beating. I was so quiet, I could hear my breath going in and out, in and out. I felt a ray of golden sunshine coming through the window. It warmed my back and started to melt away the last of my anger. Finally, Grandfather rang the gong to end the meditation. He leaned over to whisper in my ear, okay, this part's important. Don't move until you can't hear the sound of the gong anymore. I cocked my head, listening closely. Bong. The ringing got softer and softer and softer until I couldn't hear it at all. Grandfather smiled and held up the jar. Look at this, all the sparkles have settled down, he said. And my angry thoughts have too, I said. I mean, I guess if I think about it, I could get mad again. That's probably true, he said, but we have to work pretty hard to settle them down. Let's not stir them up again. I laughed for the first time that day. That thing is cool, I said. Can I keep it? Sure, said Grandfather. He smiled and handed me the jar and the dish of sparkles. A few minutes each day helps keep the Moody Cow away. I laughed again. Thanks, Grandfather. Can we do this again tomorrow? Of course. Let's try to do this together every day. I went to my room and put the mind jar by my bed, just in case the three-eyed alien ever comes back. Now it's been 2 whole weeks, and I haven't been one Moody Cow. But I've decided to keep the name anyway. I kind of like it. The end. That was a long one. Thanks for holding tight with me. You guys did great. You guys did great. All right, at this time, if there are any adults who have not yet signed out their children for RE, you can join us in the parlor to do so now. All of you children can join us in the parlor as well. We're all going to go up to the arts room, and we'll leave the rest of you sing us out to Where You Go, words of which you can find on the screens.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. You're divine, my divine.
In a spirit of reverence, love, and care, we take time now to bear witness to some of our joys and sorrows of our community, to share those events that call for our prayers, our support, our praise, and our celebration. Well, I'm really personally joyful for my frontal lobe, which has regulated my amygdala as I got to be 25 or so, so I don't no longer moody cow as much. Because, man, that story really resonated with my teenage self. On behalf of many people, we are joyful for the abundance of bodies and voices yesterday in support of democracy and peace at the No Kings rallies, both in Ithaca and across the nation. There's a whole lot of moody cows out there. And for those we are holding in our thoughts and our hearts and perhaps in our prayers into this community, into this space of healing and hope, let us call these names out loud. For those we are holding silently in our hearts, let us take a moment of silence. We extend loving kindness to all in our world, and let us remember to extend loving kindness to ourselves. Today, tomorrow, and beyond, let our hands be outstretched in kindness, and let us keep showing up to our lives and each other with open hearts, no matter what. Love and courage to us all. Blessed be and amen. Amen.
Meditation reading is from a sermon of Cyrus Heizer's in 1912. The great joy of Unitarianism to me is that it treats religion as something which blends right into the drama of human existence. One does not need to go apart from or separate oneself from human life to be religious. Religion is not to be found in one day more than in another. It is not to be found in one act more than in all conduct. Man does not always know when he is worshiping God. He may have missed God altogether in the church, but on the way home, by some act or thought or feeling, he may run up against an altar wherein the very glory of God shines. Being a Unitarian is being yourself, your best self. It means wearing your Sunday clothes all the week. Never mind the dust from work. It will brush off if your suit is made of good, genuine, homespun virtues. Never forget the goodness of ordinary human life. And above all, remember the motto, overcome evil with good.
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the choir's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
Yeah, sure. Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. Giving to the plate is important. It's a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to support the work of this church. For those watching remotely, follow the instructions on the screen. For those attending in person, the ushers will pass the plate. Please join me in saying the offertory words. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
This reading is an excerpt from another sermon by the Reverend Cyrus Heizer in 1912, Let Woman Live Out Her Own Life. The female is coming to her own, getting back her equality and more. It may be there is some primitive instinct in the male that warns him of the danger that he will lose his superiority. It may be this is why he is so loath to grant the female the rights which he claims are hers by nature. But seriously, what is the basis of all this strife between man and woman? It does not seem to have any warrant in nature. Why should woman have to fight for the privilege to live out her own life? Take first of all the matter of suffrage, since it is the most conspicuous question, the casting of a ballot. I may be very dense, or I may be very unsophisticated in such matters, but I have never been able to see any reason except mere brute force for man's having appropriated to himself the privilege of voting. How did he originally acquire that privilege? As clearly as I can see, man has only a squatter's claim to woman's vote. The ground under the vote itself is the common human ground. If it is argued that the vote is a political privilege, I answer that politics from any point of view affects woman quite as much as man. I do not see why we should talk of manhood suffrage or womanhood suffrage. It is human suffrage. Now I repeat that man's right to woman's vote and his right to exclude her from the privilege of voting is no right at all. If I were fighting this battle for women's suffrage, I would not go a step farther than that. I would claim it on the ground of common humanity. A vote is simply oneself put into a ballot box. It represents the whole of a man or a woman's individuality. It is their intelligence, their conscience, their character. It is not some little separate function peculiar to a male or a female. It is representative of the whole man or woman. Now, I do not intend to say more than that on the suffrage question, because I believe that is the fundamental thing to be said. I believe in the perfect equality of man and woman as regards suffrage. This is the last Sunday of Women's History Month. So you might reasonably ask, why am I talking about a man? You may have noticed the oval historic plaque attached to the outside wall of this church. If you haven't noticed it, if you go out the narthex corner entrance and turn left and look at the wall, it's right there. As the leader of our Buildings and Grounds team, I was asked to put it there in 2021 as part of the city celebrations of the centennial of the 19th Amendment, which passed in 1920. The commemoration was delayed a year because of the pandemic. A set of these plaques are put up around town to commemorate the local leaders in the long effort to pass women's suffrage on the federal level. Our minister asked for a woman suffrage leader, but we got a man, Cyrus Heizer. Reverend Heizer was a minister of our church for 13 years. He supported the right of women to vote, and he opened this church to suffrage meetings. He died in 1914, 6 years before the amendment passed. But you know, it's not about whether you win in your lifetime. It's about the work. Being interested in history, after I put away my power drill, I looked him up to find out more about him. As I read about his work in scans of old local newspapers, it was interesting to see how his ideas and efforts resembled some of our more recent ones. So I wanted to share with you some of what I learned. Heizer was born in a log cabin in Iowa in 1849 and raised a strict Presbyterian. He had a patchy education, but at Iowa State College, he began to admire Abraham Lincoln and Horace Mann and managed to raise the money to travel east and study law. His experience at Harvard, including lectures by Ralph Waldo Emerson, opened up new horizons for him, and he decided to switch to Harvard Divinity School and make the Unitarian ministry his life's work. After serving parishes in Maine, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire, and after the death of his first wife, he remarried and traveled in the West for almost 2 years before accepting another call to a Massachusetts parish, where he served 10 years before coming here in 1901. Our church was his last. His daughter would write that he found the most interesting work of his life among the students of Cornell University and was particularly happy here. He gave talks to students on religious and secular subjects. He was a judge at an annual Cornell debate competition on such topics as whether Cuba should retain independence. He was close friends with the businessman and education innovator William R. George and took strong interest in the George Junior Republic in Freeville, a community for neglected and troubled adolescents aged 13 to 18, modeled on adult society and run by the adolescent members with adult guidance. He also supported George in founding the junior municipality of Ithaca, which elected young people to serve as junior counterparts to the elected adult officials, the first such organization in this country. Heizer's ideas of social justice were broad, and he was a strong believer in practical, applied religion. He made this church a community center for good causes, and he involved himself in most aspects of Ithaca's civic life. When he first arrived, he held at-home nights in our parlor with church members from 8 to 10 one evening a week to receive visitors and talk. He held a conference to discuss what this church should be doing in the wider community. He believed that it was the duty of the church to provide support and education for tuberculosis prevention, a serious public health problem at the time. And he became president of the Ithaca Tuberculosis Committee. He served as chaplain of the local Elks Lodge, belonged to several clubs, was involved with the Associated Charities and the Ithaca City Hospital, and was a member of the Social Service League. At that time, there was a growing belief that churches should offer more than religious services and teachings. To attract students and other non-members to the church, Heizer turned our Sunday evening Vesper services into a free program of lectures, music and readings open to the public. The Sage Chapel organist volunteered to play at them and recruited singers. These recitals immediately became so popular that he moved them to the Star Theater, a 1,200-seat venue that used to be at 118 Seneca Street, where the Tompkins Community Bank is now. The Ithaca Daily Journal quoted one of Heizer's Ithaca Reiner friends saying that Heizer felt he was up against it because the crowds attending these events were too large and they were turning away 200 or 300 people every Sunday night. In 1906, 5 years after he arrived in Ithaca, the great women's rights leader Susan B. Anthony died. Heizer held a memorial service here in honor of her life in this church at the hour that her funeral cortege left her home in Rochester for the cemetery. He gave a eulogy in which he praised her life and character and her devotion to the equality of rights for all citizens, women included. He often appeared at suffrage events during his time here, and at least 1 year he judged an essay contest on equal suffrage at Ithaca High School. In February 1914, the two leading suffragists, Carrie Chapman Catt and Dr. Anna Howard Shaw, arrived in Ithaca for a 6-day women's suffrage conference. Reverend Heizer was one of 3 men who gave talks at that conference, the other 2 being Cornell professors. Heizer was far from alone as a man who supported the rights of women. But the men who supported women's rights are rarely mentioned. In general, women's history is underrepresented in our history textbooks. And after my experience writing the biography of a 19th century woman whose legacy has been reduced to an outfit she wore for 6 years, and whose image in that outfit has been used to belittle her and all women who favor equal rights all through her life and after her death, rather than forgotten or overlooked, the words ignored and suppressed have started to seem more appropriate to me. History is good scholarship, yes, but it is also the stories we tell ourselves about our past. And we can't remember everything. People make choices of what stories to remember and retell and publish and teach. Sometimes they pick familiar ones out of laziness, or they pick what seems like a good story. Often they pick them because they serve a cultural or political purpose now. We use these stories to help define who we are today. And the ones we choose and how we tell them changes with the times, with changes in politics, in social values, and other perspectives. We do need to be careful not to mindlessly repeat the stories we've heard, tempting as that always is, especially when it's a good story that makes us feel good or affirms something we believe. We need to be curious about where the stories are coming from and think critically about the choices being made. If we valued the history made by women and of the struggle for equal rights for all citizens, we would choose it more often. If we prefer tradition and the status quo, it makes sense to minimize that history, to make it a sidebar to what we decide is real history. And in the case of women's rights, which is a frontal attack on patriarchy as a social and political system, it certainly makes sense to leave out the fact that many men have opposed patriarchal systems. And that they did it because they believed that women are human beings, and they wanted to live in a world of equal respect and education and opportunity for the women and girls who make up more than half the human race. To know that men fought for the rights of women, just as some white people have risked their very lives for racial equality, might encourage us now to build on that work and make it a priority. It might cause more men to genuinely understand that the battle against patriarchy is their fight too, to seriously question how patriarchy harms them as men, just as racism harms white people and homophobia harms straight people, and so on. It might help us to feel the support of our ancestors in the work we have to do today. We are many, and we are also one. What affects one of us affects us all. And the struggle to see that truth clearly is one of the most meaningful spiritual struggles any of us can engage in. In 1912, about 114 years ago, in this sanctuary, Reverend Heizer gave a sermon titled, "Let Woman Live Out Her Own Life." The next year, the Equal Rights Association of Ithaca had that sermon printed as one of their pamphlets. It was also printed in a small collection of his sermons. Parts of it are dated now, but his advocacy for women as thoughtful, creative, capable, and ambitious human beings is unmistakable. Here are some brief quotes. He said that politics from any point of view affects woman quite as much as man, and that the ground under the vote itself is human ground. He said that the reason for women to have the opportunity to earn equal pay as a respected worker in any job or profession is not simply economic, but that woman has grown. The demands of her being are larger. She wants some share in the larger common life. She asks equality, change, freedom, power. He remembered his parents as settlers in the West, and he said, "The same love of adventure possessed my mother that did my father." This is the spirit that is moving woman today as she invades the fields where their man has hitherto been supreme. Let woman live out her own life is a higher demand than it was a generation ago. She is a new creature, not made in the image of man or after man's God, but after a type of her own. Huxley well said, "Women are meant neither to be men's gods or their playthings, but their comrades, their fellows, and their equals." Heizer said that all marks of inferiority must be taken off the sex, all obey taken out of marriage certificates, all legal disabilities removed from the statute books. Here, as in a democracy, there are no limitations. Equality means equality everywhere. I am not saying that man and woman are identical, for woman is not underdeveloped man, but diverse. Not like to like, but like in difference. Would you send woman to war? Would you have her chop down trees and sweep streets? I would not deny her the opportunity to do these things if she should want to do them. It might, however, as well be asked if I would set man to baby tending and rearing. If he can and wants to, let him. In the home and the state, all the natural functions of man and woman are not subjects of legal statute, but are taken care of by the decree of nature. Woman's work is just what she can do best, and man's work is defined in the same way. All attempts to prescribe the sphere of man or of woman are and should be failures. Now that the college curriculum has proved that women can do what men can do, it is time for her to become discriminative and find out what she can do best and what, in the doing, will be most useful to herself and the community at large. My refrain is, let woman live out her own life. Let her become great and glorious in her own person, self-poised and independent still, on this world's varying good or ill. History will point to this era, 1912, as woman's era. It is the age of moral reform, and the explanation of that lies in the fact that woman is coming to her own. She is living out her own life. This was Reverend Cyrus Heizer, suffragist, in 1912. Do you think the work that he described needing to be done is finished? I don't think it is at all, and in some ways we are losing some of the gains that we've made. Heizer also said, the woman's cause is man's. They rise and sink together. We all rise and sink together. None of us are free until all of us are free. Thank you.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing hymn 391, Voice Still and Small. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
Closing words are from Dorothy Day. No one has a right to sit down and feel hopeless. There is too much work to do.
Yes, thank you.
please join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words on the screens up above. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our service has ended. Let our true service now begin. And please join us for snacks and conversation in the parlor.